Hey, this is Brian Malouf and Riley, here again today to give you some tips and tricks from the studio. This series of videos is going to detail some of the more important steps I take while mixing a song from front to back. And this very first episode is about how I get audio from a source into my mix template. I think it's very important for engineers to organize themselves, and I'll give you some tips about how I organize my sessions as we go along. So let's get started. Let's first take a look at how I organize things. So here's the folder. That's the title of the song. This is the second song I've done for this artist, so I've numbered it 2. There's the title. And here are the folders in the main folder. Now you know some of these are typical folders that Pro Tools creates when you start a new session. The audio files. I have Melodyne, so Melodyne also inserts a folder there. There's some MIDI information also from Avid. This is my folder. I call this original session. This is my folder. And in the original session folder, I put the audio, however it comes to me, right from the client, right into this folder. And he does send a whole Pro Tools session. Down below here is pictures. Oftentimes I take pictures of plugin settings and I put those pictures in here for future reference. This is a Pro Tools folder. Here are my 4 mix templates. They're all identical, but I have them divided up into separate sampling rates. This is another Pro Tools folder, Session File Backups. This is one of my folders called Session History. And in it I put, if the list of sessions gets very long, I put the older sessions into Session History folder for future reference. And here's another Avid folder, the Wave Cache folder. Here are a few more folders that I created. The CD reference folder. I export 16-bit 44.1 versions of each mix and put them into this folder. Here is a tracking template in case this folder was a new session. So I'm going to delete that now. This is another folder I created called Master Mixes and Stems, and you can see this is where I take the folders. Now this yet doesn't have the bounced files folder, which it will have from Pro Tools 11. But I would take the files out of the bounce folder sections and put them into one of these 3. And here's a mastering session template, which I will leave in there for now because I may wish to master my mix before I send it to him. Alright, now let's take a look at Pro Tools. And we can see what he's given me, and what I do is I make everything large enough to easily read. Now I can see all of this information, what plugins he used, and I try to determine if it's a sound that I think is important to the mix. I will copy the settings of those plugins and take pictures of the channel so I can remind myself what that plugin was doing, what he had on something. And I'm going to play this. You're just going to hear the audio right now from the microphone of the camera I'm using. And I basically go through each track and I figure out where it belongs in my template. And we're going to take a good close look at my template in the next video. Now, so far the titles seem pretty explanatory, and here you see he's given me at first the drums and vocals for Brian, and I can solo things one at a time. Okay, that's a loop, that's self-explanatory, and this loop has an EQ on it. Nothing extraordinary. Looks like he just got a high pass filter on there, so I don't need to make much of a note of that. Usually I try to take notes of timed echoes in case they're important to the sound, and they usually are, and modulation devices such as distortion plugins and the like. So once I've sort of sussed this out, I've looked at all of the names of the tracks, and there's nothing in here that is clever or misleading. I can close this session. And by the way, for all you producers out there, it's not helpful to a mix engineer who's never been a part of the session to label tracks by the name of the person who is on the track, because I won't know what that is unless I listen to it. So I'm going to stop this now, and we're going to take a look at how it comes into my session template in the very next video. I think Riley's had enough of that for this afternoon. I know she's getting a little tired. You must be too. It's a good time to take a nap or to go for a swim. And we'll see you next time.